Okay, today we're going to do some advanced jumaring. So cleaning a traverse and leaving the minimum amount of gear behind. Here I've just got a rope here that I've fixed. You know, this would be the rope coming from below. And then you can see I got 1, 2, 3, and it's tied off at the end there on the fourth. Apologize for doing this in my backyard. It's January, but I thought I would do it. So the concept here is I'm gonna start on jumars on this fixed rope here, and that's gonna be, you know, when you're jumaring, you got to lower yourself out off of the piece to get in line with the next one. So what I'm going to show you here is a way to that you can often use to reduce the amount of pieces that you need to leave by getting yourself in tension between the first piece and the third piece to hold you in place, to unclip the third piece and remove it, and then you lower yourself below the third piece, you climb up to it, and then you do the same thing again, and you hold yourself in tension between the fourth and the first to unclip this. It can be a little tricky, especially when they're so horizontal like this. It can be hard to get the ropes tight enough, but that is a concept that can save you leaving a whole bunch of gear behind. It's pretty advanced, and in fact, if you have a first piece that's quite a bit higher, that makes the job a lot easier. This is actually, you know, about as hard as it gets when the pieces are all dead horizontal, so I probably wouldn't be able to remove the 1, 2, 3, the fourth one in tension. This is just not high enough. The forces become too great, and with rope stretch and whatnot. But that's what I'm going to show you here today. It's a useful technique for big wall climbing, or when you're seconding on jumars and you're cleaning and you're trying to leave a minimum amount of gear behind on a traverse, especially if the pieces are far apart. And there's not a lot of fixed gear. Okay, so I've lowered myself out on this munter hitch and the line into there. I'm now right below the second piece, and now I'm gonna jumar up to the second piece here. So get up. Okay, I'm at the second piece. I'm gonna move this jumar past it, put it back into the rope, and I'm gonna get my HRA. I'm gonna clip it into the piece. I'm gonna stand on it. Again, you gotta leave a bunch of room here so that this doesn't bind on the beaner. So when I stand up, I'm gonna clip as high as you can on the piece. I can now unclip this, and I'm gonna snug that up. Actually, I'm gonna just clean this up here a little bit, so I can get a better line of tension here. So as we're moving, give myself slack on the munter until I'm completely below my next piece. I'm like, don't quite have enough cliff here, if you know what I mean, but that's fine. So now I jumar up to my next piece, So I get below it, and now I'm on my way up to the next piece. Okay, so I'm leaving the line clipped into that beener on the first piece back there with the munter attached, and for now it's just loose. But so same drill here. I'm gonna pass the beener with my first Jumar. Okay, so it's gonna go above the beener, and now I get my spare atria. I'm clipped into the second piece now, and I want to go high on it. Remember to give yourself room. When you're clipping, so I want to clip as high as I can on this piece. That's important. If I can get to the next one, it's even better. So I'm gonna move my Fifi hook right to the top piece. In fact, I could even put it in there, but for the sake of it, I won't. So now I'm unclipping the Jumar here. I want to tighten that up. I'm going to get that as tight as I can over here. So there's piece number 3 there. So I want to get this Jumar as tight as possible here. You'll see why in a minute. I'm going to get as high as I can on this fixed piece, and then I want this Jumar as tight as possible. So I'm hanging now off of the fixed piece here. I can actually clean the draw on the fixed piece. My weight's on it. And so same thing, I want to get this munter as tight as I can here. Ultimately, I'm going to be weighting the back line and the fixed line. So I'm going to tie the munter off, and then here's the magic. I come off of the piece, I take my foot out of the atria, and now I'm hanging in tension from this line and my back line, and now I can clean the piece. So I've cleaned the piece, and depending on what it is, you gotta, this is actually probably one of the hardest, because I'm hanging in dead space. Often you have a wall here to work with, but I still got quite a bit of room here to play around and reach. Because ultimately I'm going to be in equal tension between this line and between this line. So I'm hanging from the second piece. Now the job is to got a bit of a twist there. See how that looks. Not too bad. I want to tighten this munter up now, as tight as I can. Okay, so I got my overhand on a bite on the lock and beener. I got my munter on a pair beener here, and I want to get that as tight as I can because I'm going to be held in equal tension. So the tighter I can get that, the better the better it'll be. So then I'm going to tie off the munter quickly here. Okay, so now the munter's tied off. I've got tension on the rope here on this Jumar, and now I'm gonna unclip from the piece. Okay, so now there you go. I'm being held between my back piece and the Jumar over here. And you'll see here, I'm free to clean that piece. I can still reach it. I'm being held in equal tension between my first piece and my third piece. Allows me to clean the second piece. So that's the first. Didn't have to leave a beaner there. There's the magic. Then sorry, that's just an old piece of rope there. I'm gonna lower myself here on the munter until I'm below. So now I've cleaned the middle piece and I didn't leave anything. I'm now hanging off my first piece and the third piece. So this is the theme of the whole business here. And see if I actually have enough room. I'm close to the ground, but see if I can actually do this. Again, it's an illustration, but I'm hanging in space right now, in theory. So I'm going to start Jumaring up to my third piece. So here we go, back line. The back rope is still in place here. And now the rope's clipped to the third piece. So I sort of repeat the same process. I'll move my forward Jumar over and put it on the line, slide it forward. Get my spare HRE and clip that in to the piece because I'm going to stand on it, and I'm going to want to get high on it again. So I'm going to get my Fifi hook ready. Okay, so I'm now hanging from the third piece, and I've got enough slack to unclip. I'm going to tighten this up. And I'm actually going to tighten it up as much as I can here. I want to get a little higher on this. So So I'm as high as I can on the piece, and I want to tighten the Jumar here as much as possible. Okay, and then just move that out of the way so you can see it. And then now, of course, I want to tighten the munter hitch also as tight as I can. So this scenario is about as difficult as it gets here. You can see I don't have a lot of a vector here, but it will work. Just have to snug this up as best I can and tie it off. So see if that's enough. I'm going to tie off the munter again. Then I'm going to stand on the atria, stand on the piece and unclip from the piece. So there's me unclipping. And okay, so I've got just enough here that I can actually clean it. So now I've cleaned the third piece. So I'm now hanging in tension between the first and the fourth piece. I want to get the same thing again. I want to get as high as I can on this piece. So and I can already see that with the rope stretch I'm going to need more slack there. So I want to get nice and high. I want to get even higher if I can here. I'm going to tighten this up again as much as I can. Okay, now I go back. I'm just gonna clean that for a second. Put it back on the Jumar. Okay, so I'm now hanging from the third piece, and same drill here. So I'll just put that over there so you can see. I want to tighten up that munter again, as tight as I can. As much slack out of it as possible. Okay, and then I want to lock it off. So get a little more there, and then I'm going to lock it off. Okay, so I'm still hanging from the third piece. I got the back rope going all the way to the first piece. It's no longer clipped to the second piece. Got the Jumars on the fixed line here, and that actually isn't even clipped. That's just there's nothing actually there. So the line actually goes around the corner, around the pillar. So same thing again here. Now I want to put my weight on the back rope. And the fixed rope. So I got to get my feet high on the atria here to get this undone. And there we go. Get that off. And so there we go. Now I'm loading the back rope and the fixed rope. And if I got enough tension, which it looks like I do, I can reach and unclip and clean. So now I've cleaned the second piece, I've cleaned the third piece. I'm now in equal tension from my back rope on the first piece over there, you can see. And I'm hanging in tension between the back rope and the fixed rope on my Jumar. And I've now back cleaned the middle two pieces without leaving any gear behind. And I've cleaned the middle two. I'm hanging by this V here, and so it's just, I had just enough tension. I was able to create just enough. If I had a gree or a stitch plate, I probably could have shortened this line a little better and tightened it up a bit better. But basically, that's the magic here. And it's all about the vectors. You know, you can adjust. And if the end piece is higher, actually helps you a lot, or if this next piece is now higher, it makes it easier. And I just continue the process here. So I'll lower myself down, on the munter here, so you can see that, and that essentially brings us to the end of the illustration from a point of view standpoint. So that is how to clean a traverse and leave the minimum amount of gear behind. Quite a useful technique on big walls, on alpine walls, where the seconder, sometimes on technical ground, is on Jumars, carrying a pack or that kind of thing. So anyway, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.